Really interesting fight, Matt. At women's bantamweight, we have Raging Panda Julija Avila taking on Julija Stoliarenko. And Matt, we don't have a ton of Lithuanian fighters in the UFC, so you get excited about it. And for her UFC debut, it almost seemed like she was this dark horse that never really was in the women's bantamweight division. And I say that because she matched up against Yana Kunitskaya. And the line was fairly close. Like, she was a plus, 155, 165? Like, there was a lot of respect on Julija Stoliarenko's name. And if you have a look at the record, I mean, yes, she was on the Ultimate Fighter Season 28. She lost to Penny Kianzad. She made it to the finale to fight Leah Letson, lost by split decision. Insert the graphic because, listen, if you type in Julija Stoliarenko right now on Google, the first picture is a picture of Leah Letson, and that's just a problem because we got to get over that. Since then, she went on a tidy little win streak, won 5 fights in a row. You look at it. Armbar, 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 armbar. And we're talking sub-minute armbars. And if you want to see a disgusting fight, go watch her fight Invicta FC Phoenix Series 3 for the bantamweight title. She took on Lisa Verzosa. What a disgusting double of cuts. Oh my gosh. Poor Lisa Verzosa, but a great fight. Like, if you liked Ross Houston when he took on one tough out Nicholas Dalby, the Verzosa Stoliarenko fight was for you. The reason why I want to put a lot of weight onto that one is because Julija Stoliarenko is mostly known for her throws and her jiu-jitsu. You see that from all those armbar finishes. But the real X factor about Stoliarenko is the fact that from 2017 to about 2019, she was in the art of not just 8 limbs, we're talking 9 limbs. She's fought in Lethwei, and she has huge wins. She's a world champion in Lethwei, and that's just crazy to me. And we've seen it where, as she's progressed in the bare-knuckle headbutting type series, she's gotten better at striking in MMA. It's something you just love to see.
I don't know about that. I think she's definitely got better, but I don't know if the fact that she headbutts people in one discipline allows her to really open up her MMA striking now that she's in the UFC. She did land a single headbutt against Yana Kunitskaya, and maybe Yana just trained her defense a lot for that technique, but I look at that Yana fight, and it's interesting, because Julija Avila is kind of like a poor woman's version of Yana Kunitskaya. They do a lot of similar things to a degree, but when I look at them, they do match up physically a lot in this weight class. They are two of the bigger fighters, and they will stand a similar range. The thing with Avila, though, she's one of these classic fighters where her top pressure is insane. Her on her back is awful, though, and it's this really weird kind of give and take where if she gets this fight to the ground and she gets on top of Julija, for any period of time, I'm very confident Julija Avila's ability to ground and pound her, possibly get a submission, pass her guard, and really get good work done on the ground. But I can look at the flip side of that, and if Julija Stoliarenko can get Julija Avila to the ground, it's going to be much of the same thing, only on the other side. And I hate to call it the Sarah McMahon effect. We've had very different names for it, the Louis Smolka effect, but it is one of those weird cases with Avila. And you go back to the Eubanks fight. That fight was really odd to me because Avila is one of these fighters who, if you're much more physically strong than she is, she's going to have a tough time with it. And I know I talked about the Jin Yu Fry fight. It didn't really turn out that way, but again, just a fighter who's going to struggle physically with some of the matchups. Avila will be another one of those fighters. And with Stoliarenko, it's odd to say that an MMA fight could come down to strength, but I really do think that this is one of the few fights where that could be a big X factor, because I do think if Avila can get on top of Stoliarenko for any period of time, I'm talking 2 minutes, like at the end of a round, I think she can get great work off, and I don't really think Stoliarenko can get back up to her feet. I think she has a good ground game, but her ground game is much more defensive than it is, I'm going to look to sweep you and get on top and ground and pound you. If she was more sweep heavy, I would favor her in this fight like crazy. And that's the thing, because Avila needs to get this fight to the ground. She's another one of those fighters, I'll bring up Courtney Casey again, who, to really open up her skill set, she has to incorporate the takedown. And that's the thing for Avila. It's always hard predicting her fight because it does come down to, can she take her opponent down or not? And a lot of the women in the top 10 of bantamweight, or even the top 15, have a judo background, and that's what makes this matchup really interesting.
And if you look at Julija Avila, has a judo background, has a jiu-jitsu background. I mean, they match up very well in this one. For Avila, if you watch any of her tape before the UFC, so if you go back to the Alexa Connors fight, that was a fight of the night, if I'm not mistaken, with Invicta. Then she fought Penny Kianzad, beats her by decision, 2019. That's a huge win. We saw Penny look great against Sajara Eubanks, who Julija Avila struggled against. So you're excited about that one. She had bookings with Carol Hossa all day and Sunday, twice on Sunday, really. That didn't happen. She fought Gina Mazzani, finished her in 22 seconds.
Didn't learn a lot.
Again, if we're making the cheap comp to Invicta, the Phoenix was rising, and then she fought Sajara Eubanks. All 3 judges scored that 29-27 for Eubanks, and that's the thing. With Julija Avila, her wrestling's decent. Defensive wrestling, maybe not the best. Her aggressiveness on the feet is great. Like, if you go back again and watch a lot of the fights on her way up, very, very good. I mean, she trains out of Oklahoma Martial Arts Academy in Edmond, Oklahoma. I've been there. That's north of the city. Nice little place. But she trains there, and she is a geologist for an oil company. How neat. But in a fight like this, again, Julija Stoliarenko, you're going to have the threat of the takedown. You're going to have her doing weird, funky stuff with her back up against the cage, and Yana Kunitskaya pushing her forward. Normally has exciting fights. It's just it didn't really materialize her last time out. So, if we do have a look, Matt, at the odds for this one, might come as a bit of a surprise to some people, the fact that the odds are as close as they might be. Because, again, Julia Avila... Well, no, she's a big favorite. She opened as a 3-1 favorite. She's now minus 360. More money coming in today on Avila. You look at Stoliarenko, open plus 250, now at a plus 277. A lot of hate for that Kunitskaya fight, and I saw that all over Twitter, and you even see residual hate now. For Julia Avila, people are really behind her from those first 2 wins in the UFC. Of course, the Invicta performances. It should be an interesting fight of 2 top-notch former Invicta fighters.
I'm good. Okay, this is the thing. I agree with you. This probably should be Julia Avila, maybe 160, like minus 160. She shouldn't be a 3.5 to 1 favorite. That is kind of ridiculous. I'm going to pick Avila again. It's hard to say, oh, I'm picking her. She is a massive favorite, but I do like her wrestling. I like her top control. I like her pressure on the feet, too. And I do think if she's the one forcing the fight, too, Stoliarenko, really pushing forward, using her front kicks, using her takedowns, I think she'll be able to get the unanimous decision.
And I mean, the funky thing with Julia Avila, you look at her record, I mean, her debut in MMA, her pro debut, she beat Marion Reneau. Wow. Then she beat Nico Montano. They were supposed to be rematched, and that didn't happen at the end of last year.
Nico, where you at?
And again, for Julija Stoliarenko, started her career off 1-2-1, and since then she's been 8-2. So a great thing to see. Now I know I focus more on one fighter, you focus more on the other one. That's just how we structure the video. But in this case, I'm actually going to go with the big underdog. I'm going to go with Julija Stoliarenko in this fight. And I think, again, in the striking, it's going to be a great fight. Yes, you might give an edge here or there to Avila. I think that pressure is not going to go away from Stoliarenko, and if she's able to get the takedown, if she's able to impose her will on top, she's got a great opportunity. And look it up, she looks a lot like Fedor. So I'm going with Lithuania's Julija Stoliarenko. You're going to go with the Raging Panda, Julija Avila. It should be a great fight. Okay. I love the card. We got 2 great fights at the top. Gillespie taking on Riddell. In the main event, Derek Brunson taking on Kevin Holland. So Matt, keep locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.